We'll get going.
You couldn't get out because it's
So we'll call the meeting to order for the Monday, November 4th.
Is this Courtney? Oh, Christian, is your dad? No. Okay.
It's a he's sweet, that boy.
Hi, are you coming to the meeting? No, it's at 6. Okay, all right, thank you. Bye.
Thought it was 7, huh?
Coming or not coming?
Yes, he's coming. He says, I'll jump in the truck. He says, go ahead and start.
Okay. I'm gonna call the meeting to order Monday, November 4th. Williamstown's select board meeting, special budget meeting. First item is set the agenda. Does anybody have anything to add to the agenda? I'd like to add executive session for personnel issues at the end of the meeting. Who else have anything? Okay. Next is view of open public comments. Everybody knows about that out back. Any select board announcements? Any public announcements? Okay, I guess we'll go to new business, general budget review. You wanna lead us through this, Jackie?
Sure. So page 1 is income. So I don't know if you want to skip page 1 and 2 and move to the expenses first, and then we can go back to the income, because then that'll show what is to be raised in taxes and money from the tax stabilization fund. So the first item is the select board wages. I know the select board has not gotten a raise, I think in 20 years maybe. So I did plug in an increasing the $750 to $1,000 and increasing the chair from $1,000 to $1,500. So that's an increase of, with FICA and the child care contribution taxes, that's an increase of $1,632.28 to the select board budget. Under planning commission, that has gone up $3,185.70. The lines that have gone up, the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission dues has gone up about $185. And they increased the Emerald Ash Borer by $2,500 from $5,000 to $7,500.
I got a question on that.
Yeah.
What the heck does that have to do with planning?
It's a good question.
I would think it'd be in the highway budget, because otherwise it's gonna have to deal with the dead trees along the road.
Well, initially, 5 years, 6 years ago, I don't even know how long ago, it seems like it's been going on, and then it kind of petered out, and then it's come back. We had Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission had a grant, and they had sent out students to go around and basically do an inventory of the roads and the Emerald Ash Borer, so that's how they got involved with the whole thing. This has been in their budget for, well, the last 2 years. They didn't spend any money previously, and I don't know what their plans are for this one, but it just keeps getting rolled over. We have the inventory from Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission of what roads, what trees, what condition they're in. I don't think it should be a planning commission thing either, but
I know they die, once it catches on, they die real fast, because we had ash trees around our campground where our camper is up, Goose Point up there. They were all green last year, and this year, I mean, they're dead. So I don't see what, you can count the trees one year, they'll be green, next year they're gonna be dead. It doesn't seem to be a waste of money to me. I think the money should be transferred into the highway budget for the towns, have some money to cut them things, because they're gonna be falling across the road. There's certainly ain't the planning commission won't go out and do anything with them, other than count them.
No.
You don't need to count them, you can see them. I don't know,
Well, I know I talked to Sue about it. She's on the planning commission and she felt that if it needed to be cut anywhere, to cut the Emerald Ash borer out. And they've also put in $8,500 for a grant match. And the way she described it was that they wanted to use that money to hire a consultant for the town plan. Well, all they have to do is revise the town plan that they have, update the maps. I mean, we really don't have to reinvent the wheel there either. So there's $15,000 right there.
Yeah, I just cut it right out without them explaining the situation. Is that 7,500 go towards leverage and more money that town could get to deal with these trees?
No,
It's just,
it's just to hire people to cut down the trees that the road crew can't cut down.
nobody's ever cut a tree yet. So they must have a pretty good stash built up in that fund, right?
No, it's not a reserve. It rolls over every year. If it's not spent, it just rolls over.
Goes back. No way they can transfer it down to it?
No, it's not a reserve.
No, but I mean, there's no way that,
Oh, you mean transfer it to the highway department?
right,
Or we take it out of here and add it into the highway budget
it's either just do
for
it.
tree removal?
So this is an outright expense from town, there isn't any match money for any grants or anything?
Not the 7,500, no.
I don't know, what do you guys think?
We've already approved the highway budget though, right?
Yeah, you can revise it.
The one, so you said, just not with the Emerald Ash Borer, but the 8,500 for grant match, I made a note, like, so it's for the town plan consultant, they already have a line item for that. So why wouldn't they just put that money in that?
Because he moved it down there, because he said that there may be grants out there that they can match with the consultant. So that they moved it into a grant
Okay.
match instead of leaving it up in the consultant, but that's what Sue told me what that money was for hiring consultants, but really all they have to do is revise the town plan.
Okay.
Update the population, update the maps, if there's any additions to the town plan that need to be added.
We haven't had a new town plan in a while.
Yes, it's supposed to be every 8 years, I believe, now it has to be redone and we're,
Just riding around town, you could see there's 100 trees that ought to come down. That they're gonna come down some night when you don't want them to come down.
Right. But they ain't gonna see, I don't see the planning commission going out cutting them down.
No,
I think,
and I don't know how far $8,000 would go in hiring somebody to do
it's
it.
not gonna go very far.
I don't think so either.
I think it'd be better to have the road foreman mark what trees he wants cut than get a hold of somebody and take that money and get started on it, rather than
Yeah,
have the planning commission deal with it.
yeah.
He knows better than
He's
anybody.
gonna be out on the road more than the planning commission, scoping out the trees, that makes sense to me, so.
Anybody got any ideas in the audience?
Since the highway budget's already done, if this is used for tree removal, is there an issue, at least for this year, to just keep it where it is, knowing that it still have Dave go around, do his marking and still use that for that, or is there, can you not do that if it's not
You
under?
don't think nothing changed the highway budget?
You
I just like to
approved
see-
the
I like
budget,
to see
but
it get done.
Yeah, no, it's not.
it's not set in stone yet, so, we can revise it and add $7,500 to that and take it out of the planning commission and move it into the highway for tree removal.
Cause I know what those guys get, and I know it's not gonna go very far.
Yeah, no,
No.
I feel like the fellow tree is $7,500 now. But
I think it'll go a lot farther through the highway department, it will be.
Yeah, oh yeah, yes.
and that's the intent though, is just to cut down trees, it's not mitigation. I mean, I know there was those purple, green triangle
They
things up
did
in the trees.
those, and then they talked about the injections and the girdle things that
That
they put on
7,500
with,
might go
with
further
all
on
that,
a
but no,
rental
this
of
is
a boom lift.
basically
To take a couple
barking
of
the
trees
trees and
down.
removing the trees.
Has that happened at all in all these years?
No, they,
Barking and removing them, no, I bought the paint 6 years ago for the planning commission, and he took the paint and they never did any of the trees, so.
Mr. Chairman, what do we need to do to disapprove this or to move that from the
Just
planning
tell the town
commission?
manager to move it from one budget to the other.
I put it on.
That would be my suggestion, but
Well, I'll second that suggestion.
I can't make the motion, somebody else has to.
Oh, well, I make the motion to move that money from the planning commission to the highway department.
I'll second that.
Motion made second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Alright, so that takes care of that. Any other questions on
again, I'm
the
very,
plan?
I'm very new at this, but it seems like the planning commission's budget for other expenses, for instance, they've had $1,600 in that, or well, they've had $1,600 since 2023, $1,500 before that, and they haven't used it. They haven't used any of their advertising expenses, mailing or postage expenses, mapping.
they might,
So could those get trimmed a little bit? I mean, have they ever, looking back, I went back to 2021, and they used other expenses in 2021 at $1,700. But other than that, they've been pretty level.
I know, for being on regional planning commission for 26 years, that the town plan has to be updated now, it used to be every 5 years, now it's every 8 years.
Yeah.
I think they're in that window now where they gotta get it done, they might have been banking some of this money for this town plan upgrade. That's why the budget's build up a reserve for it. So,
Do they have a reserve account though?
No, there's no reserve for the town plan.
So yeah, so once,
It's
it
the
goes right back into
yearly,
the general fund, right?
right.
so
They haven't been building any money up.
So they haven't done nothing like that, huh?
Yeah, it just goes back to the, so, I mean, I'm just seeing,
Maybe,
they've used every other account for the most part.
so they're in the town plan process right now. Maybe you should talk to them and have them, see if they wanna revise that, set some of that money into a reserve account to help cover the town plan. When are they gonna have it done?
I'm not sure what the deadline is on the town plan.
Wasn't Marguerite the last one or whatever?
Margaret did the last one, yeah,
It was a while ago.
but, I mean, they've done a chunk of it already, I mean, they've
You didn't ask.
done through it, but they want this big elaborate thing, I mean, this is Williamstown, it's not Burlington, where the town plan is, this big, where ours is
They
this
did,
big.
the last ones were good, they had a good town plan.
Yeah, all
Last one,
they do
they
is
just
update that one.
update the numbers and stuff. All the outlines are drawn as far as village growth areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've never done, I just see a lot, I mean, I highlighted a lot of columns, like I said, there's been a lot of years.
The one in your packet, throw away.
The budget's been there, but they've not used any of it.
That's the revised one.
I mean, even their,
In front of you.
even their wages, they were budgeted for $2,225 last year, and they used, well, this year, 184, so whatever that would be, but the year before, the fiscal year '24,
Yeah,
they
they
used
only-
1,600, they were still below budget, so.
They always seem to be, I mean,
But it-
that's basically just their meetings.
So like I don't know what they do for advertising or what their other expenses are, but unless they're anticipating And this is the hard thing, no one's here to answer questions.
They have to do postings for the town plan once the draft is done, and they have to mail it to surrounding towns. Goes to the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. They have to do a little bit of advertising. There's not a lot as far as letting people know when the question and answer timeframe is up. But yeah, there's a lot of fluff in their budget.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know does anyone know what they did in 2021, that they spent $1,700 in other expenses?
Don't. I know they had a couple of speakers come to their meetings. I don't know if it went towards that, but.
When is the town plan due, roughly?
Well, it needs to be revised in 8 years, and I think they're in their 8th year right now.
So this is the year that they would be doing all the mailing?
Yeah, this into next year.
I don't know if they're going to that, this should be the year that we should be cutting them.
Well, and, yeah, that's I agree with that.
Yeah.
If they're actually gonna be using this money, it's just literally the last
Well, just make it.
5 years, it's been completely stagnant.
But if they change the way of doing things, like start a reserve fund for town plan update, they could, build this up rather than get hit all 1 year with it, you know what I mean?
But if they take the town plan, there's 5 of them on the planning commission, and they split it up into sections, and each person takes a section and updates it and revises it. They don't need to hire a consultant or have a fancy front cover, or it's a simple, it's a town plan, it's not a
One of the,
graphic novel.
part of the process on the regional plan is after review all the town plans, all the 23 towns is in the regional plan.
Right, the planning commission.
The
Central
regional plan
Vermont,
has to
yeah.
review them all and approve them or disapprove. Some are very limited what they have. They have certain criteria you have to meet, but some are very limited and some of them are like that thick.
Right.
So, there's varying degrees you can do it. I've seen our town plan, read it. It would be different if somebody's never been around that before, but I have, but I could update things myself in a day. Pretty much. Get all the information you need, then have, with the internets and all this stuff and people, you could get the information real quick.
Yeah, it's.
They like the old days where you had to go actually look up stuff and do things.
No, you're not reinventing the wheel. It's already done. You're just updating it
Right.
from.
I haven't heard any new requirements that they come up with. They get growth centers and, water and sewer boundaries and all that stuff is already defined and nothing's changed. But I don't know. I think my personal opinion, leave it where it is for this year, but do a different method of doing it in future years so we don't get a whole hit at 1 year, They know it's gonna cost $5,000 or $10,000 update the town plan, and every 8 years they could put, $500-600 in a year for the reserve, or $1,000, whatever they need to do, make it happen.
Because after this year too, we'll kind of have an idea of how much it's gonna cost to update.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going with the history, so again, these things happen every 8 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what it costs. I didn't
Used
go
to
back,
be
I
every
didn't
5 years.
go, I didn't go back that far.
Extended it.
Yeah, with the-
It sounds like.
But, we
you're
printed
thinking
it
you don't need a
here. Before the last one that Margaret did, 'cause she was a graphic designer, so she played around and made a fancy cover and did a lot of charts and graphs inside of it, but, it's a very basic, they can create it on the computer and then, literally print it off in the office. You don't even have to have it printed by a printing company.
So, we've already eliminated the ash board thing before you got here, Chris. sharpen up your chainsaws, and went over to the highway department. Give Dave something to do, he's driving around.
You guys were getting
Huge
into the
radio.
arboring business a little bit more,
What's that?
arboring business a little bit
Yeah.
more.
So, as far as the rest of it goes, we gonna leave it like it is, or we gonna change something else?
I think it's a good idea to leave it as it is for this year, and if, where the 8th year come up, and like I said, put the rest of that into a reserve fund for when that's actually needed, and have a little more investigation, what it's gonna cost, instead of just changing it all as of now.
Anybody go to that?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
And that,
Okay, town report, that's pretty much self-explanatory. You know, roughly $6,000 to print and mail the town report. Next page is the listers. You'll see that this has gone up considerably. 4 years ago, when we created the staff assistant position, which would be the town manager's assistant, the treasurer's assistant, and the lister's assistant, which previously was Terry, the assessor. When Megan left, we split it back into 2 different categories. So it's the 20 hours for the listers and then 20 hours under the town manager's budget for the staff assistant. You'll see that the appraiser assessor, there was no line item in there the last 3 years because it was all under the town managers, but we split out that, split the payroll in half and put the half that she works for the listers into their budget, half of her health insurance, the HRA, retirement, FICA, childcare contributions, and then the unemployment workman's comp, anything that goes along with that was moved back into the lister's budget. And then also, we had talked about how hard it is to get people to be listers at minimum wage. So I plugged in a figure, we estimated 15 hours a week between the 3 listers. So 5 hours a week for each if they were going out 15 hours a week at $20 an hour. So that brings their pay from $7,300 to $15,600. There is also the option, I don't know if William is gonna run again he's not running again for lister, we've got that, so.
come on, give me a raise.
And I don't know if Bill Peabody's gonna run again. He didn't run last year, he had to get appointed, and he's only in for, until March. William is only appointed until March, so that just leaves Gordy. And his term is up in 2026. If you would wanna consider putting an article on the warning to do away with the lister positions and hire a 20-hour-a-week assessor. And we have, 1,600 parcels, I believe, in Williamstown that have to be maintained. So that's also an option. You can take it before the voters and see if they would vote to do away with the listers and hire an assessor.
If you left just to do away with the listers, they're gonna agree.
Well, but you have to have somebody in there
I
that's,
know.
but there's that option too, so you could,
So if you hire somebody specifically, is that gonna cost more than what you got budgeted?
yeah, it would be more, it would probably be, well, if you did it, it would be roughly the same as the assistant, maybe a little bit more than that. So instead of 15,000, you'd probably be looking at 24, 25.
So so if we choose that that's the route we wanna go, but we won't know how it's gonna turn out. What do we do in the meantime?
Well, if you go to the town, put an article on the warning to see if the voters will do away with the lister's position. And if it votes through, Gordy still technically is a lister until 2026. It's like when Bob Cleaves, when you voted to make that position an appointed versus an elected, he still completed his term. So Gordy would still be here to help Kathy Bruno with the reappraisal. His plan is that she's gonna start the reappraisal next fall. She has a person that helps her. So she and her helper and Gordy could go out and do the reappraisal and Kathy would do all of the data entry with May that needs to be done for the reappraisal, and then it would just go away, and then you would hire an assessor within that time frame.
So that would fall in our next budget cycle?
Right.
So if you, what you're saying, if you just have Gordy and no other listers, you'd have enough money in this to cover it. So we wouldn't
When they
even,
do the reappraisal, obviously their pay comes out of the reappraisal reserve fund that we have, which is got, right now, there's $165,000 in there.
Okay.
So that's an option if you wanna put that on the warning for March and see what the townspeople think.
But I'm just doing some quick math. It would be about an additional $40,000 of benefits, correct?
Well, no, because May's considered full-time.
Okay.
She works 40 hours a week, but if you hire an assessor at 20 hours a week, there's no benefits.
I thought they allowed benefits as part-time employees, don't they get something?
It's 25 hours a week.
Oh, 25 hours.
So anything under that,
Okay, so it would just be the wages.
it would just be, straight wages for 20 hours a week. So that's an option there.
I don't think we have much more of an option other than bring it to the people. I don't see anybody jumping through the door to be a lister.
No.
yeah, there isn't, we could need to explain it at town meeting unless they can figure out a way to get somebody to do it.
Right, I mean, it's at least the option on the table, and then it's gonna be up to the board whether they're gonna go this way or, hey, somebody's gonna step up to it, whichever.
We've had a few step up and they didn't do nothing once they got there, so they weren't much of a help.
Yeah, right.
When listers come in, again, looking at previous budgets, the lister training and conferences is pretty much, other than this year, and that might be May, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
No one's ever gone to training, so when someone's elected as a lister, are they trained properly?
Well, what happens is usually Barbara Schlechtlinger from the state, from PBR comes down and trains, and Chris from Nemrick. He's been doing a lot of training with May and with Gordy. Did you meet with him, William? No?
So, I mean, that might be another issue though, is if someone's, I can say I feel baptized by fire being on the select board. If we have someone as an elected lister show up, I mean, they're not just gonna go knock on someone's door.
No.
Not in this town anyway.
No.
And say, hey, I wanna reappraise your property, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
No, there's training
so-
for them to go through.
But I mean, maybe it should be, I guess it couldn't be mandatory, but at least more offered. I'm fine with putting it on the ballot. The town chooses whether they want the listers or not. That's the proper way to do it. But it is going to be roughly, at least at this point, a $10,000 increase for someone that's going to increase your taxes.
Well, yeah, that
Yeah,
information is gonna be privy to everybody there at the town meeting, but regardless,
Yeah, no, I'm just-
and if they decide that they want to keep listers, then we've gotta
Yeah.
give some,
Yeah.
not only just offer, but
Well, you don't have any.
push it a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's what, yeah,
Well,
if
that's
we
it.
don't have anybody,
Right,
Yeah, that's the problem.
right,
And how
Yeah.
often do the listers, again, I'm just looking at numbers here, prior to this budget, it's been $7,300, and they've usually $1,000 or less have been in wages, so we have the listers. Are they just not doing their job when they get elected? Are they required to do? Is there
Really?
mandatory?
I mean, Bill Peabody usually goes out on the weekends with Gordy,
Okay.
a few weekends a year. I mean, Gordy is basically it right now. He's the one that's going out and pulling in the data and entering it in the computer. May's learning, I mean, she's taken a lot of trainings. There's a lot of online stuff that Nemrick offers that she's been watching and learning, and she's been on the phone a lot with Chris. He's actually come over once and sat down with her and Gordy and reviewed a lot of stuff. Barbara Schlesinger from the state of Vermont's been down a lot and gone over and showed her how to do stuff. So the help is out there if they want to put the time in. But Bill Peabody works a full-time job, so he can only do it on the weekends.
And do they try to divide and conquer, like you said, Gordy and Bill go out together? Is it
Yeah,
possible
they
for
usually
them
will
to
take
go?
like a section of town and do a drive around, because you don't have to, and Chris from Nemrick will tell you, I mean, nobody has to allow you to come into their house.
Mhm.
I mean, so you do it from the road as best you can, and then when they get their letter with their reassessment, then they have the option to grieve. Well, if they're gonna grieve, they have to let you onto the property to follow through with the rest of it. But it's you can't get anybody for minimum wage. Nobody wants to
Yeah,
get yelled at for raising your assessment.
I would do it for $100 an hour. I get yelled at all by myself. I don't need that.
It's a job you're not well liked in at all. It's like how one resident said, gee, I love you, Gordy, on the ambulance. You're the best, but I hate you as an instructor. I was in the office and, it was said in the office and you just kind of, well, that's the way it is.
Yeah,
It's the ultimate thankless job.
Well, I guess my question is, do you have enough money in there if we end up, the vote goes that way at town meeting to cover cost of hiring somebody like 20 hours a week, every week?
I mean, that's 15 hours a week right there
That's 15 hours.
at $20 an hour. $15,600.
So that's 5 hours a week for each 3 listers, what you saying? So my guess
So
is
once they get, like I said, once they start the reappraisal,
some will come
it
in.
doesn't come out of this budget, it comes out of the reserve account for reappraisal. That covers all the expenses for the reappraisal.
and when does that due?
What
It's
is-
already starting, the reappraisal. When are we anticipating? Like, I know we have to do it right now, but are we waiting for
Well,
a contract?
I'm waiting for Kathy Bruno. She used to be a lister here. She's an appraiser. And she's now on the state list, so she can do it. So she's drafting her proposal for herself and her assistant to start the reappraisal. And they would actually start it in the fall of 2025. Right now, I put it out, an RFP out, and I got nobody bid on it. Nemrick is out until 2029, their company. They're booked right up until 2029. But Kathy helped do Plainfields, and she also assists at Berry Town with a lot of their stuff. And she knows the town. She was a lister here, so
She was
that's in
your
our
neighbor,
favor.
actually, when you were going there.
she lived here for quite a while.
Yeah, she lived in the house, she lived where Travis lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
Right
was,
behind
yeah, she was, so after talking to her, and she called the state and talked to them quite a bit, she's willing to do it. She helped with the reappraisal back when Terry was still the last reappraisal that was done, 2019, I think it was finished. She assisted with that, going out and
So she's gonna start that this fall,
Next month.
Next fall.
Next fall,
next
yeah.
fall.
2025,
So that's, this budget is for 2025.
2025, 2026, yeah.
So there won't be a real need for a lot of town listers. If she's appraising all this stuff, her and her associate. So the town listers won't have as much of a load as they normally would have.
Right.
So your numbers will probably be all right.
Yeah. And any reappraising that any data that they go out and pull in would come out of the reappraisal fund, and it won't come out of this budget.
So I probably just leave it like it is and.
Do you want to put it on the article on the warning,
I think that's a good idea.
to do away with the listers and?
What's your guys' thoughts, Matt?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't find anybody to do it.
It's a town vote, they can decide.
Exactly.
Going back to the warning, how's that gonna work? If we do away with that, we still have the thing, they have a warning on here to pay the town, like, the select board and anybody else works for the town at minimum wage or whatever they come up with. So how's that gonna work if you already got budgeted for the select board, your increase that you had in there?
Oh, I think you incorporate that into the article that we've never changed the select board.
Just change your article to what you proposed?
Yeah.
Okay. That'll probably get voted down.
Right, and I'll give you something, right?
Yeah, I know, it don't sound right.
I know I don't, I said there's gonna be a lot of questions on that already.
What was the question? I didn't.
Oh, there's an
Giving
article.
ourselves a raise.
Yeah, it's, second.
They've done it the same way for 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I understand the reasoning, but it doesn't sound, it's like,
Wasn't it
we need
Matt
somebody else to
Powell
vote on this.
The last time Matt Powell stood up and said, if minimum wage goes up, and so should your salary, I believe that was, I don't know how many years ago, 6, 7 years ago. Oh, they didn't.
I wish that
Right
actually
here,
did work in
it
my
says, to
case.
see if the
Every time
voters
minimum
authorize
wage
the
goes up,
town to
that
pay
man, I'd
its
be
select
making like
board members
$50, $60 an hour.
$750 and chairman $1,000
No, but that
and
much,
all
but-
other elected officials $13.18 per hour and the chairman $14.18 per hour except the town clerk.
Okay, that.
So it would, and it was in the budget already at that amount.
Okay,
So we would just change this
right.
to reflect the increase.
Then we'd have to do the same thing to cover the listers. Raise that to $20 down, right?
Right, that would have to be included in here.
Right.
Yeah,
So instead of minimum wage, you'll say $20 down.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
In specific to listers, or are there other, I know I asked this question last time, but there are other paid positions, correct? Because that's very,
Planning commission.
The planning commission is minimum wage, the cemetery commission is minimum wage, and then the chairman of each of those is $1 more than minimum wage.
Yeah.
So that's what the 13.18 and the 14.18,
so is this, we haven't gotten to, well, the cemetery commission and they're their own budget, but
right,
we would have to specifically say listers $20 an hour and all others?
Yeah.
Okay.
so that would just be reworded. For that.
Getting luck at all, they'll fire us.
So, article for listers,
Okay, so everyone's good with,
Yeah.
okay.
and then article for wages. Okay.
So
Alright.
just quickly, because I'm gonna do with the budget thing, I personally don't think we should get a raise. I'm just throwing that out there. I know it's $1,500 in the budget, but I don't think anyone's up at the table for the money. That's just all, I'm throwing it out there.
Thought process was get more people want to do it.
I don't think we're hurting right now. I know we got one petition in
You got
for
one?
next election.
Nothing says you have to accept it.
Hey,
You can donate it to the
I know.
Henry S. Baker Fund.
That's true. I'm donating, I'm personally donating mine to charity anyway, but.
But to be honest, when I got elected the first time, I didn't even realize it was a paid position.
Neither did I.
So it didn't matter, it was
Well,
like a
that's
bonus.
what I'm
like,
saying though, I
cool.
mean, and
You know what?
I
Paid
did too,
my
the first time she
It
handed
paid-
me my
it paid
check,
my
I'm
sewer
like,
bill.
what's this for?
Yeah.
but I mean, that's
realized,
the
I'm like,
point.
okay, sometime along I'll get some
It's-
money. I don't care, but.
My thought process, like you were just saying though, like, no one really knows, I think people are here to help the community. And no other appointed and or elected position, at least from what I can see in the budget, got a pay bump. Like I could say the health officer, for one, just one I can recognize, I'm sure there's others. But I think we should stay at 4,000. People are feeling the economy. Who knows what's gonna happen after tomorrow? But I think it would be fair to say, I know the school board did the same thing last year. They had, obviously we all know that we had like roughly the 20% school increase in our school board. They either didn't accept pay, they might have gotten rid of their pay completely for the year. But they definitely didn't get an increase.
He didn't do it.
So I would like to, that's all I'm saying, I think we should go back to 4,000.
Ain't gonna change my situation one way or another, so. I don't know, there's two ways thinking about that. Hardly get anybody who wants to run. We do put the time in for it. Seems like I gotta get compensated, nobody else is doing it. But it's up to you guys, I don't care one way or another, it ain't gonna make a difference to me, but.
I have a long history of doing work for free, so I'm not necessarily the greatest example, but.
Well, I'm not loaded with money, so I'll say, I ain't even gonna lie. You can throw a couple extra $100 in it, but I'll take it. You know why? Cause it's gonna pay my sewer bill. Whatever. Either way, I'm not any bashful about it.
I mean,
If not, if it doesn't change, it doesn't change. That's not the reason I'm here, but
nobody's in this for the money, for sure.
no, for sure.
They probably won't improve it anyway, so we won't have to worry about it.
That's right.
So would this be a motion thing? Again, I'm trying to read Robert's rules here.
You can make a motion to amend the select board portion back to,
So I make a motion to change the select board wage to $4,000 for fiscal year 2026.
Your second? Guess the motion failed.
Okay.
Okay. Where are we now?
so now we're gonna leave the lister's budget the way it is,
Yes.
create an article, to do away with the lister's positions, and an article for the wages, broken down. Okay, then we're on to Board of Civil Authority and elections. That has been reduced because it's an off year.
Okay.
So both of those have dropped down, Board of Civil Authority and the elections line items. Manager's office, the staff assistant, has been reduced because half of it went back into the listers. The health insurance, half of it went into, half of May's health insurance went into the lister's budget. Same with portion of the HRA, portion of the retirement, FICA, childcare contributions, unemployment workman's comp, staff appreciation hasn't changed. Staff appreciation is, at Christmas, all the employees get a gift certificate.
Well, I was gonna ask that because
Yeah.
there's only, as far as I know, there's two people. So is that for like town clerk or is it just?
So it's the full-time.
Yep.
So the highway crew,
Okay.
the town clerk, myself, my assistant, if they're, the treasurer and the town clerk assistant are both part-time, so they get, a $50 gift certificate where the full-times get a $100 gift certificate.
Okay.
So
I just-
that's,
I just saw it in the budget, I'm like, there's 2 people in the manager's office, that's pretty good.
yeah, no, that includes everybody in the office.
Okay,
and
everyone,
the
every
highway
full-time
crew,
employee within the town.
Also the fire chief too.
And the fire chief gets.
Yeah.
Was the animal instructor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what that is. The training conferences, that's for me to go to classes. Associates dues, there's the town manager's dues, the cell phone. So that's that budget.
Is there a reason it's going up this year?
What's going up?
Your cell phone? It only went up $100, just again, looking
It's actually
historically.
gonna go down, I have to recalculate that because I just got a new phone and they had us, it was called a hybrid account. We weren't a business account through Verizon. So actually it's gonna go down, I have to recalculate it. I just got the first bill. It was gonna go down, I think, $70 a month. So that will be, I will have to revise that, but it is going down.
Like the actual budget? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Again, it's always been over budget.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so that will be going down because we put it into an actual business account, which was less. Under the town clerk treasurer and assistant town clerk budgets, I mean, the increase is across the board, which you guys agreed upon when we did the highway one, the $1 an hour. So that reflects that. Obviously, health insurance has gone up. And then,
One thing on the town, to be thinking ahead, nothing right, I don't wanna really get involved, but it's gonna have to be done. All land records 40 years back have gotta be scanned and be on a scanner. So people can pull they'll have to have a credit card attached to it, so people can like scan a land record and pay the credit card. It's being pushed a lot. I haven't really looked into it. I know a lot of towns have gone through. I know I have money in restoration, but it's not even gonna cover probably how much this is gonna cost to have 40 years worth of land records put on scanned documents.
Is that what land records restoration is generally for?
Yeah, usually it's $15 a page to record something. The town keeps, 11 goes to town clerk fees and the $4 goes to restoration. It's every document, so it's $15 a page to record something. So there is, I didn't bring the figures of what is in the restoration fund, but
was it 85 or 58?
85.
85, it's in the restoration fund.
But this is gonna cost hundreds of thousands to put 40 years with the land records, all those land record books scanned. And then you gotta get a scanner for the future. So in the recording, you have to have the hard copy and the land records, which you also have to start scanning to put into. So, but I'm thinking that's maybe the next person's job someday.
Is that something that seems like something that could be contracted out at least for the initial?
It would have to be. There's several companies that do it, Cots, Browns River, which is, they have a different name. There's different companies that, even Nemrick does it as well. So it's something to look long forward, not any time soon, but it's gotta be done. It's being pushed.
Is there a specific date coming from, I'm assuming this is the state that is?
Yeah, you might know. You might know.
He wasn't even sure what you're talking about.
A few years ago, you said you gotta prepare yourself, that they're gonna be scanning these, it's gonna be made mandatory that it's.
So within the next 5, 10 years or sooner? Any idea? You don't know? Okay.
But yeah,
We can find
it's
out.
coming down the road, just to give you a heads up, it's coming down the road.
This isn't something where you take the book in the office and
Well-
scan each page?
And from what I understand, it could be done 2 ways, you can let all your book records go, they'd have to be done, and scary, and a proportion, like you could take from 1984 to, I don't know, 2004 maybe, and get those, and then come back and do the 2004. It's gotta be at least 40 years, so.
I mean, it's nothing that you can, like, somebody in the office can't just
No.
grab the book and like put it on the scanner and.
You know, because these machines are gonna take on each page in front and back. And it's
I feel
gonna
like
go
it's-
down the line, yeah. I'm afraid to let the records go, because if you just, like, you come in and say, I want to know who bought the house back 40 years ago, that book is gone. So, and you pray to God they're gonna come back.
So do they bring a machine in and do it?
There are some companies that do have a machine.
Like when they used to come in from Utah and do the genealogy, and they would come in and they would scan everything?
So
They did
I
it
think,
right in
and
the
I
wall.
think that it's more money to have someone come
Come
to
in.
you. But I guess if I've got to do it, I'd rather have someone come to me than let my books go.
So I get it, you're trying to tell us maybe we should raise that up from 500? Just to cover ourselves down the road?
For one, I didn't hear the figure.
It said land record registration 500. Did I got that right?
Yeah, 500.
I mean, I had told Jackie that we probably should prepare ourselves.
Yeah.
It's something that you're gonna have to, it's coming.
Do you want to bump it up this year, or do you want us to come back with costs for next year? Can I get a rough idea of what it's gonna cost per book based on 800 pages or 500
And
pages?
of course, if you go back to 84, the pages only were like 400 and
Right.
something.
They don't
One, and we've been, with the newer books, I cut it at 750 pages per book. So each book, for the last 16 years, it's got 750 pages per book.
I mean, we can come back with.
You only got
I think
8,500.
understanding what it,
You only got
you know what it's
8,500
gonna
in there?
cost.
You only had 8,500 in that reserve?
85,000.
Oh, 85,000 though.
We have 85,000 in the reserve.
That's been saving for a long time.
It has, because every time you get a recording, the
500.
$4 for each page goes.
Oh,
into
goes
this.
to that, yeah.
So it adds up. I used it a few years ago when I had all the town reports for the last 20 years bound.
It seems like it'd be, like I said, this almost sounds like buying a piece of equipment essentially. 'Cause it's gonna be a huge
Well,
upfront
after the
cost.
fact.
Yeah, like it's gonna be a huge upfront cost, the hundreds of thousands of dollars probably, and then, like Barb said, probably getting a,
You're gonna have to.
Specific
get a
scanner.
Yes.
for the future, so that whenever, again, I don't know what land records look like, I've been in the vault. There's a lot of books.
So when you're making them for a hard copy, they're on special paper, but you'd also have to be pushing for the scanner to scan that record into this, to be scanned.
Are all new land records already digital?
No.
Yeah, so,
And so what I'm
That's
Is this every
finding,
40 years it's gonna have to be done?
within every 40 years, it's gotta be,
So we don't.
you gotta go back, it's 40 years, because when they do a title search on your home, they're gonna go back they're gonna do a 40-year search. So I'm finding with the older attorneys, they still don't mind coming in and physically looking down the records. But a lot of new ones since COVID have called up, say, are your land records online? And you don't know. Okay, I need to make an appointment to come in. Because I think it's the future of new attorneys are gonna want them online.
They do pay with a credit card to get access.
Yes, you're gonna have to have a credit card connected, then they'll have to pay. I guess from the attorneys and researchers that do it, they love it. They go, I can sit home, just push a button, and I can get these records automatically.
yeah, I think coming back with some figures and
Do our research for
Yeah.
next
see what it's
year.
gonna cost.
So I just wanted to just give you a heads up.
All right.
It's coming.
I would find out too if there's a way now moving forwards, if there's something you can do, like here's this little machine and then every time you get a new land record, whoever's there, you scan it in. And then in the future, we never have to worry about doing 40 years worth of
I
documents.
think that's what the plan is.
In there, and then from then on, we can just do it as your land records come in. Before
Right.
you put them in the book, you could run them through the machine and
Right.
upload them, and then then
But
put them
the
in your book.
security of it too, though.
Gets lost in space.
A book is secure. Going online or on, digital, that's not very secure.
Yeah,
I
that's the
think you
thing,
still
they have to,
You have to have a hard
physically pay.
Copy too.
you'd still have the books, but it's ease of access for everybody. They don't have to come in and pay $15 for a page. And Barb doesn't have to go and make a copy and give it to them. They can just do it.
Still have to pay. Well,
They
that's
still have to
something that
pay.
you gotta
They
still
still
have.
pay.
Yeah, they'll have to,
They have to pay
then
the
a credit card has to be attached to it, so.
Okay.
So every time, it's actually $1 page when you want to get a copy, but for when I record a document, it's $15.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do our research on that one.
So, clerk treasurers will stay just like this, huh?
Okay, then down to general operating budget, it's the custodian, our VLCT dues, heating, fuel, electricity, telephone, internet for the town office, our water and sewer, advertising, postage, copier, the postage meter, rental agreement, and postage meter supplies, office supplies, equipment. We've basically kept everything. We did increase the outside labor. That includes I have the building pressure washed every 6 months, the siding, and that includes the lawn mowing. Central solid waste dues. Right now, there's no town clock service. Professional audit, county tax, they told me that that's, should not be changing, so that 90 should be fine. Unanticipated expenses, property and casualty insurance, Memorial Day, that's the fireworks. Green Up Day, that's usually our match for the grant to dispose of the tires and all of the garbage that the road crew picks up along the sides of the road. And then the public safety water principal payment is in there, so. Any questions on that category?
That's about right to me.
No.
Other operating expenses, that's the municipal building maintenance, any maintenance to the building that we may have, landfill, posting and monitoring of the landfill, when I have to have the soil samples done and the tests run on that. That's a yearly thing, and then legal fees.
Wasn't that supposed to extend out like a couple of years or something
What's that?
on the landfill monitoring? Was
Yeah. It's been reduced by a few years.
Right, but you got it in there, a line item every year for it, right?
I've got what?
Get landfill post monitoring,
Right, they still do it every year.
right.
It's just that
Well, I
they,
thought they were gonna change it so you didn't have to do it every year. It was gonna go like every 2 years or something like that.
no, that'll be changing in a couple of years. It's still gonna be the same for this year.
Okay. I just remember some talk
Yeah.
about it.
So that's that category. Public safety is the health officer stipend, fire warden stipend, FICA and childcare tax on that. Streetlights. Speaking of streetlights, the streetlights will be fixed by the end of the week. The fancy ones down by the gardens.
It's time for a run over.
The Alliance is,
Question just paying off that you're talking streetlights, but that just reminds me, ever get a hold of the companies that are supposed to be keeping those trees cut down on the other end of town for the sidewalk plowing for this year?
That's, the gardens,
Right,
Heritage, they've been notified, they need to trim them back.
okay.
Um, And then Orange County Sheriff's Department. While we're there,
Yeah,
I have, the 70,000 that I left in there that's their cost for roughly 20 hours a week. I have two other proposals from Orange County. This one is for 30 hours a week, and it's $101,400. And 40 hours a week is $135,200. So 20 is 70, 30 is 110, and 40 is 135,000.
So what initiated that? They just decided to give us more time or see if we wanted it or what?
See if we wanted it, so they did 3 separate proposals. Obviously, VSP is our principal, always have been, and this is just our additional.
So, my understanding is Orange County is not handling complaints in town. I was told by dispatch when I called there for something, I asked if the Orange County deputy was on duty, and was told that he does not handle complaints in town. He is merely here for presence. So it seems like a lot of money to me to be spending for, I mean, the presence is great, but if there's an Orange County cruiser in town and somebody calls in a complaint, they're still gonna wait for VSP.
that makes no sense.
No, it does not. That's what I was told by dispatch.
Dispatch at Orange County.
Do they have dispatch? I thought their dispatch went out.
They have Hal's over there. But I will talk to George and Lenny. Well, Lenny's out on medical leave. He just had surgery. He'll be out for a couple of weeks, but I can talk to George.
I mean, I think that's before we sign any contracts, I think that's something that we need
Well, our
to
contract is
have.
good through
Yeah.
June
Or
30th.
entertain any new proposals.
Right. But I wanted to give you, they put these in to what the hours would be if you wanted to consider them, but I mean, when Lenny's stopped in the office and I've had any issues or complaints, I mean, they've gone out and taken care of them, so I don't.
Like I said, I'm just going based on what I was told by dispatch, I was referred to VSP.
That's if they have anybody available too.
Right.
It's such a catch-22.
We're short-staffed there, and
Yeah.
It's currently, Orange County does Williamstown, Washington, Orange, and it looks like that Berkshire's probably gonna take them on. And then they're working with Chelsea about taking back on daytime,
I'm gonna say,
but not nighttime, because they don't have nighttime coverage.
it was just off the line to me the other day, I came down 113, and what's the next county out, Washington County, or is it Chittenden County?
Windsor.
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 They're sitting in the middle of Chelsea patrolling. I'm like,
Because they'll do night patrolling.
it's like, what the?
they've been doing that for a while.
Well, it's crazy.
Yeah, since,
You go to sheriff's department, I can see the building from his cruiser.
Who's Brookfield use?
yeah,
Brookfield use Orange County or?
I understand.
What does Brookfield use? Do you have any?
I don't know who Brookfield uses. They
Windsor.
might.
Windsor?
Do they,
Yeah, Windsor.
Brookfield is Windsor?
They just signed not too long ago.
Do we know how many deputies they have in Orange County right now?
That I'm aware of, there's 4, and Kevin's supposed to be coming back on. Kevin Wilson, he was our deputy over here a few years ago, he was very good. But he had been on, he was on, what do they call it? He was deployed.
Yeah.
And he's back now, and he had to redo some training because they wouldn't, it didn't carry over. So he had to go back in for a couple of trainings, so he was back up, his certification was back up, that's why he hasn't started yet. But that's the plan.
Just leave it the way it is for now.
I think so, until we get a little more information on various questions.
Yeah, I think it'd be good maybe to see sheriff contracts. I mean, I met with him with the pet committee. I mean, there's, at least on the pet, state police will not enforce any ordinance. So if we have an ordinance complaint, BSP is not gonna handle that. So there is a need for Orange County Sheriff or a local police department to handle those.
Right.
I agree though, I mean, being on the fire department, I've never, at least in, I don't know of any really in history of seeing Orange County, say in a car accident. So nothing necessarily criminal. But it would be good to see what their mission is, and that, I think that's the question is, what is their mission-driven statement here? Are they calling, when someone calls 911 because there's a burglar in Williamstown and we have a sheriff's deputy in town, they should probably be the first ones here, because the BSP could be wherever. I mean, there's 2 troopers in Berlin barracks.
Current contract say anything about their duty while they're here, or just
It's basically, its scope of services is general law enforcement services on behalf of the entity to the extent and the manner set forth in this agreement. Let's see. These are provided.
Should be listed in the contract we signed with them last year. Their information, what their
Really doesn't
job description should be
doesn't
written in
give
that contract that we
specifics.
signed.
I don't have it in front of me.
No.
I know, like, sheriffs, I don't think are necessarily, there's different classifications of law enforcement, so I don't know what classification they're at.
Right.
For instance, like, just for the pet animal ordinance committee that I'm helping with, the state police, or all police officers in Vermont now have to take a animal cruelty, and the legislature just changed it that our animal control officer can't handle complaints due to cruelty. It has to be law enforcement because it's criminal in nature. But that'd be an important thing to know, that all Orange County sheriffs have that training, because they're required to have that training.
Right.
And also, but, you know, a state trooper can do potentially something more than, say, a sheriff. Like, there's level 2, level 1 in both. Chris, you were a police officer, right?
Yeah, legislature changed it after I got done.
Yeah, but I think there's varying levels.
What it comes down to is, as far as, you know, part-time versus full-time, it's broken down into a couple different levels, and it's just more or less what you can handle, you know, can you do felony stuff, can you do only misdemeanor stuff, and then
So, I mean, that would be a good question for Orange
Yeah.
County, again. Like, if
it would.
there was and I'm not saying it's like a homicide in Williamstown, and I don't want to say that, but Orange County might be the initial, and then BSP might take over.
Right, you know, like say a felony drug stop,
Exactly.
you know, so, a felony drug stop, you know, one level officer may not be able to make that arrest and would have to call for backup of a higher level officer.
They don't go into specifics
But,
on this,
you
just
can keep
general
them all
law
at gunpoint
enforcement
right till the right guy gets there.
which seems like that's more than just sitting in a car.
Okay, well,
Right,
Can't wait to go over
right.
the speaker's too close.
So it says department shall
I'm not
turn
saying
the hour
that.
release specified above for all investigations, office work such as compiling reports and arrest records, court-related proceedings, which include meetings, with prosecutors, depositions, and court appearances for hearings and trials. So it's fairly vague, but it's general law enforcement services. But,
Tyler does have a very valid point though, as far as the certification levels,
right,
and, you know, to what level the deputies, the current deputies being that they only have 4, to what level they're certified and what this county can handle.
And I understand that Orange County is going through, I mean, if anyone's read the news, they are going through their trials and tribulations right now after the election of Sheriff Conchois. Not because of him, just what happened after he was elected.
No, it's been a mess since the day
So,
he stepped in.
I think as long as they can meet what Williamstown's needs are, and, I think that's where I give them a chance at least and figure out, I'm not saying let's sign up for a $135,000 contract again. Can they do a $70,000 contract? Because they have not done that. Again, budgetarily, I think this might be the closest they've ever gotten, actually. If you extrapolate, we're gonna be close to 70,000 this year.
Yeah, they lost half their force there last year, so they couldn't charge too much.
They are in Stratford too, I forgot Stratford. They have a contract with Stratford, the town of Stratford, so. All right, so we'll just leave that until we can find out more. Animal control.
It would be good to have him come in just to give an update how things are progressing on his end. That way you could ask some questions that we just talked about.
Yeah,
See what
that's
he
a great idea.
He was just get things started back up again. Last time we talked to him, it's like around Christmas time or New Year's or something like that.
Animal control, that's basically the same. No changes there, we'll know more. You guys are getting,
I'm gonna be missing the next 2 meetings due to health, and I missed the last meeting. The only thing I would say with the budget, and I don't know how easy it is, just because it's a line item, it says Central Vermont Humane Society. One thing the animal control, or not animal control, the pet ordinance committee is looking at is looking at impoundment. That's kind of from the VLCT's model. Pet ordinance, it's something we're inventing ourselves, but according to our current animal control officer, Central Vermont Humane Society will not impound an animal, especially if the animal is known, like if the owner is known. And I think that's kind of where we're seeing some issues. That's kind of why the the board was created. So I did ask Sam to see if she knew any specific rescue that would be able to impound an animal, because I think that's going to be kind of the enforcement aspect of, so if an animal is being abused, or it could just be an animal that's running loose all the time. I mean, there was a big article up in Burlington. The dog can't be allowed in the city anymore, I believe, is the last I heard. So, but Central Vermont will not impound any animal. So basically, the law enforcement officer is going to say, "We know it's your dog. Here it is," and 2 days later, it's going to be running loose again. So that's the only thing. I don't know if we could just change it to pound. I mean, we're not spending the money, clearly.
Yeah.
But it seems like we need a contract with another agency. But that'll be for the board at some point.
okay, under ambulance, the 246,443 is, what the amount's gonna be. The per capita went down for Berrytown EMS. So that's a cost savings there of 20,000, and it might go down a little bit more, but right now that's the price that we're keeping it at. So they're working on their budgets right now. So that's a $20,556.40 savings over the current year budget. Fast squad, there's no change to that. It's gonna stay at the 12. Public safety building, the increases in there are obviously maintenance increase. The building is now, we're going on, 11 years. The under building maintenance and repairs, we had 3 sensors in this building go in the last 9 months, and they're roughly $5,000 a piece. So 3 control technology that controls the central air and the heating. Sensors, they go bad and have to be replaced, so we had to increase our building maintenance budget for this building. And then obviously electricity's gone up. Those are the two major increases in that. Oh, I lost William.
I said to go get them.
Oh, can I just ask a question about this?
Sure.
More of like a financial aspect. So the principal is continuing to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
It has obviously, any homeowner knows, as you pay your principal, your interest rate goes down. We're budgeting the same amount every year for interest.
It's actually a flat for so many years and then it goes down.
Last year we spent 28,000 of, we budgeted
No,
71,000.
that's the actual for this year, but
Oh,
there's
sorry.
interest payments.
Yeah, sorry.
So it's,
So we'll go to 24 because I have the full 12 months. So it was roughly about $6,000 less.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we could put that money toward the principal? Or is it, that's how I would do it as a homeowner.
yeah, under the bond payments, you have to pay the
Okay.
flat rate.
Okay, just that.
That's just,
Yeah.
that's what it
Okay.
is.
And then my question to that is, there was a line item a few years ago that the principal or the interest payment was put in the general fund. Is there a reason we're not doing that anymore? I don't know, what year was it?
Principal,
Hold on, I have to go all the way up to the top of the sheet.
this is the public safety.
No, like it was actually within the, yeah, sure, no, where was it? I should have highlighted it, I apologize. It was in the income, for the tax rate. I'm just trying to think what year we did it. So it was done once. Oh yeah, it was done, so public safety building interest under general income. It was done for fiscal year '23. So is there a reason we're not moving that?
I think that took place because the bill came and it overlapped another year.
Okay.
And that's why it was in there as an income, but that's normally not the case. They've got it set, so it comes certain times a year, so.
Okay, I just didn't know. I guess if it's overspent, it goes back into the general fund anyway.
Right.
All right, we're doing fire now?
Yep.
All right, we're accusing myself.
Thank you, William. And yours. Do you want to go through them or?
We can have Jackie go through like she has the others do it.
Line down through 'em? Okay. Okay, so under fire chief wages, that's up 2,000. Incident pay is up 12,000. That's based on, increase in runs. Plus we have, what do we have? We have 4 or 5 more people that have come on since, so we had to increase that based on the, amount of firefighters. Fire scene support's the same, FICA's based on payroll, childcare, contribution tax is based on payroll, so is an unemployment, workman's comp. The accident and sickness, has gone down. The cost for that. Training stayed the same, dues stayed the same. Emergency reporting is the same. Office supplies, no change. Radios and pagers is the same. Equipment purchases, equipment repair. SCBA compressor, that went up, the cost has gone up for that. Capital communications, that is Capital West. We had to leave that at the 5136 for now, but we're trying to work with Capital West because that included the Williamstown ambulance service and the fire department when that contract was set, and we're hoping that maybe we can get them to reduce that because we no longer have an ambulance service. But that was signed by Jasmine when she was the chair of the select board for that contract. Utility pickup, international, none of those are changing. E1, HME. Let's see, communication dispatch, that's our actual rate with Berry City. E-dispatch, that's for the E911 to the cell phones. Diesel fuel, looks like everything else, there's no changes to the rest of them. So, and then you go to the reserve. The truck replacement reserve, we talked last year about increasing that each year, so we bumped that up to 110,000. Major repair reserves the same, clothing reserves the same, radio went down, air pack reserves the same, dry hydrant reserve, they want to put in a new dry hydrant next year, and the costs have gone up, so we've increased that by $10,000. Hose reserve is the same, community risk reduction is the same, and the grant match reserve is the same. So the increase in there is the truck replacement and the hydrant reserve. So the actual budget's going up approximately $22,000.
I have a couple questions for William. This is not negative in any way, but just curious as to, she mentioned you got some new firefighters. So what, do you have a maximum amount that you're gonna have, or do you just gonna keep increasing every year? I mean, must be some line at some point.
Yeah, I think the technical cutoff, I think is like 23 or 24.
Yeah.
That would allow. There's a couple juniors that, I don't know, I think one's going into the Army when they graduate, so probably gonna be a couple less, but the reason I increased it was to give everyone a little raise in pay and wages. So, because right now when you start off, when you join, it's minimum wage starting off, so. And that's both junior firefighters or if you were to join tomorrow, minimum wage, so. It was to kind of make the breakdown a little more fair, I guess. I gave her a breakdown of I based the 82 off of what we had for calls, average over the last 2 years. You know, no telling how many calls we'll get. Right now we're running above average, so that could drop off next month. So that's why that has gone up.
And we're at what, 22 members right now?
20, I want to say 21. So yeah, I think we just voted one on last week or the week before. So I think that's going to be our stopping point for right now.
I just curious if you had a limit that you're kind of set.
I think we're down to 2 empty lockers. So.
Huh?
Once the lockers are full.
My second question was on the fire truck that's being refurbished. How's that coming along?
Good. They mounted the new body. It's all painted. They mounted the new body last week. They're still anticipating around Christmas, New Year's.
Staying in budget? Staying in budget pretty good?
So far.
Good. Anybody else have anything for William?
No, that was the only question I had, was the update on the fire truck.
So everybody else have with the fire department budget?
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks for coming in, William.
that,
You look tired, chief.
Yeah.
You do. When you first came in, I thought you did.
All day.
thanks, William.
Thank you.
So that, so based on all of the changes, based on what I had initially brought to you, we were at roughly a 5% increase. Obviously, we'll take the $7,500 out, remove that, but right now we're looking at to be raised. If we go back to the income on the first page, it shows the general fund taxes to be raised is $850,000. Then we obviously have hold harmless, the pilot. Those are current use and the pilot programs through the state. That's income that comes in. And then I've taken $100,000 out of the tax stabilization fund to reduce the, to be raised in taxes, so.
How much is in that fund? Must be getting low, keep taking 100 grand.
There's roughly about, will be about $10,000 left in there when we get done. The auditor is here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week to audit the book, so we'll have an actual, but we're roughly in the $10,000 range.
Any surpluses out of this year, you think, over there?
Hmm?
Any surpluses could be added to it this year?
No.
No? Even with all those big FEMA checks you've been getting?
No, that's highway. But there is good news about FEMA. So Vermont hit the threshold for the July 2023, and we've been waiting for Biden to sign the document that's been sitting on his desk for roughly a month, where it increases our reimbursement from 75% to 90%. So we're looking at roughly another $150,000 coming in that we didn't think that we were gonna see. So that's making our highway budget look a little bit better.
So we could have that news by town meeting day?
What's that?
We'd have that news by town meeting day?
Yep, I should have, July, everything has been submitted, I'm just waiting, for the final payment on the Cat Z, which is all the administrative, which that was $38,000, which was me and, the extra hours that Dave put in. And then we just got a check for $340,000, which was the two big, called South Hill and Gilbert. And I'm waiting for one more other check besides the Cat Z for Martin and various roads that they merged together. And then July 23 will be completely closed out. And I've already submitted everything for December except for Chelsea Road. As soon as that's done, the end of this month, then I'll submit that, and then I can do my Cat Z, which is all my admin hours for that, and then I'll close out December of 2023. And I'm supposed to have my initial meeting with the state and FEMA for the July 2024 flood, hopefully this Thursday. I haven't gotten the confirmation yet, if not, it'll be next Thursday. And those are all 100% complete except for Graniteville Road, which will be done by December of this year. And I'm going to be getting a denial letter for Henry Road from FEMA.
Really?
Yep,
No way you could wrangle it,
no,
even if we reclassified it?
it wasn't a class 3 when it happened. If they hadn't put the culvert back in,
They had to get home.
I know, I realize
I
that.
know how that works, I got the same deal with mine.
But, yeah, same as there's, just like your driveway. So, that was looks like it's gonna have to stay the way it is for the time being, and then
What if we was to reclassify a short section of it to get the other side of the culvert? And then apply for a hazard mitigation grant?
where are you gonna turn the trucks around? If you reclassify that to a class 3, there's no place to turn around.
Is there a law saying that we have to plow the road if it's class 3?
No, I guess not. You make that a stipulation that you're reclassifying it to a class 3 under the understanding that it's not maintained by the town.
I think that would be worth doing rather than having that keep blowing out.
Look into a little bit more, let me call Vermont Local Roads and see if there's any glitches that
One-way skin a
might
cat.
run into.
One-way skin a cat, get around it.
Right, as long as it's legitimate.
Right.
Yeah, I'd have to do a little bit more research just
Because
to.
if it was classified that way now, it would have been put right in the rest of the stuff. We pretty much guaranteed next flood comes, it's gonna blow out again.
Yeah. The problem with it, because it's class 4 and it's roughly over 120 feet from Flint Road was the problem, because Riddle Road, the culvert was right on,
Right.
and Maple Woods was right on Stella Road, so, that was the problem there.
I'd like to see you look into that and have that discussion. I mean, if it's just a matter of reclassifying it, in order to get that thing fixed, it'd be well worth it. Could always, just put a hammerhead or something at the end of it, like where it goes up into their land, at the end. Rodney?
What would be the actual reason to upgrade it to class 3?
Well, every time there's a flood, that culvert that's in the bottom of the hill washes out and it backs up with a whole bunch of gravel and sand and everything, and it's going down that river, goes down into the river that goes down into the town, and it fills up where we just cleaned out all these roof beds down through Meadow Street and stuff with silt and gravel and everything else.
Why don't you just tell them they gotta put a bigger culvert?
Well, it's easier said than done. I mean, it's a town road,
It's class 4 now.
right?
Yeah, that's why FEMA won't pay for upsizing the culvert.
Right.
Yeah.
But you degraded one road this year from class 3 to class 4. You didn't like the person. And now you're gonna classify one from class 4 to class 3 to help them out. That's,
I don't know, is it because we did like the person, but at least on my part, it wasn't that way. Well, this would definitely have an effect on the village area. Every time it blows out, at some point, some select board allowed them to put a driveway in there and fix up whatever they did at some point. Not when I was on the board, but, or you were, I don't think, but at some point, somebody must have let them, grant them permission to use it. What's that?
before I was.
Right, as I said, I didn't think you were on it either at the time, but it was prior to me being on the board. So I don't know if you can actually force somebody to do something after the fact. I don't know. That's something we'd have to look into.
Well, you still own the road. So I think you can say either put a bigger culvert and then leave it open. Look at it.
Now, you're looking at a $100,000+ expense to have the size to equal what's above it. 500 feet
I
up.
think you're treading on,
What's that?
I said, I think you're treading on scary land to try and upgrade it to help somebody out, because higher class 4 roads, they're gonna want the same thing. You have to be careful how you do that.
Yeah, I like to see what you're talking about. But it doesn't do any good to dredge out all these streams down in the village and have them just fill back up again. That's one prime source where it's coming from.
No, but I agree with Rodney, and that's why I kinda mentioned it, but maybe we just ought to have a talk with Gordy and Phil and say, listen, this is what the situation is, we can't help you with FEMA, cause it's class 4, this is it, but this is really what you gotta do, and I don't think they'd be really out of it by fixing it. I mean, upgrades into the size, doing the best we can, you know, as far as alternative, helping out with the material, who knows? And half of it's still down to 50 feet down to the brook. I know, I've been up there a couple of times. It's not very far.
You know, that was one of the reasons we hired that class 4 road fund, held it up for it's situations like that. You'd have the money to put a bigger culvert in, instead of giving them money away every year.
So I know,
But you could use some of that money for the next year's money to do that, to help out. They'd have to kick in most of it, but at least kick in something.
right? No, I agree.
So theoretically, that class 4 road fund should be a reserve account. So it builds up. It was set up as a, that was
It was set up to,
for me.
if you're gonna have these roads, so people could at least keep them passable, with gravel them or whatever they're doing to them every year a little bit, just to keep them open. It seems to work. You know, doing a major culvert project's a different thing. Most of them just need small culverts. Some of them are completely gone, so beyond repair, like George Road was, there's some big trenches washed down through it that weren't worth fooling with. But
Well, some people choose to go live on a class 4 road, and then they expect the town to maintain, and that's not how it's set up.
And I agree 100% on that. You know, if it's a class 4 road and you live out there, you know it's a class 4 road. It's your driveway.
yeah, it's not only used by people, some are used for ABTV and
If that's the case,
snow
but,
machine trails and stuff like that.
well, I'll tell you, the ATV trails, most of them have been put in are nicer than the class 4 road, so I wouldn't complain if they put one up through.
No, I don't.
So, exactly. Anyhow, yes.
I got no problem having them come in, tell them the bad news and see what we can work out. I mean,
I think that's the best case scenario, just say,
there's
listen,
different ways
this
you
is
can
the
do
way
it.
it
It
is.
doesn't have to be a full-blown culvert like up above, but the opening has to be that size in order for it to work.
Like, put a couple of head walls in or something, just a
It doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to be 24 feet wide.
Right, no.
It can be narrowed up.
couple of 12s even just something to narrow it down, stop from tearing out that culvert again.
Just the opening size gotta match what's above, that's all.
Right.
Or else we're just gonna get the same thing, it's gonna back up and then blow out.
Right.
End up down the village. So if you wanna have them come in next meeting and talk about it or something, it's getting pretty late in the year to be doing that. Something could get lined up for next year, maybe.
You can do that, and I'll just have them take a ride up, talk with Phil, just off to the side. Anyways,
What's
buddy,
that?
what's going on? Your driveway's not looking so good.
Anything else you need from us?
Other than that,
Okay, I need a motion to, go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Two seconds.
second,
Motion made second. All in favor?
hey,
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
Executive session, so, yeah, it's over here. You gotta leave.
Hey, you shoot me